This is the plaintiff, Barbara Merlis. She says the defendant, her former accountant, made a glaring mistake on her tax return. And because of it, she now owes the IRS some big bucks in penalties and interest, and the defendant is responsible. The defendant clearly knows what he did was wrong, and for some reason feels like he doesn't owe for his mistake. Well, she's suing for $1,369.35, the amount owed. This is the defendant, Julio Gantovnik. He says he did the plaintiff's taxes for 10 years, and he's a former IRS agent with a stellar reputation. Funny thing about this lawsuit is the plaintiff's being charged $195 in penalties, yet she's suing him for the $195 and almost $800 more in taxes she owes the state anyway. Ha! He can't wait to see how the judge handles this one. He's accused of missing something. The defendant has filed a countersuit for $1 for defamation of character.
All parties, please raise your right hand. You see it? Come to order, please. Litigants have been sworn, Your Honor.
Thank you, Douglas.
You're welcome,
Barbara Merlis?
Yes.
You are suing your former accountant, Julio Gantovnik, for $1,369.35 in state taxes due to New York, interest charged by New York, plus you want your money back for him, what he charged you to file your 2008 taxes. You have a counterclaim against her for $1 for defamation of character for suing you. All right, what's going on?
Mr. Gantovnik was filing my taxes for me for many years. I don't know the exact number.
What do you say?
Over 10 years, Your Honor.
Okay.
I agree with that. And in 2008, he prepared my taxes.
But you were unhappy with him before that, though.
He had always made mistakes. I mean, most of them, I was looking through my papers, there was always a mistake. I never made a big deal out of anything.
When you say a mistake, you mean because the tax man was claiming something?
There was usually money owed, and I have this thing about taxes. I hate dealing with the paperwork. I just can't stand it. So most of the time
that's
I would
special. Nobody else feels that way.
Right. So anyway, in 2000, well, in 2008, Mr. Julio Gantovnik prepared my taxes again, and in 2010, I got a letter from the IRS that my Citibank interest was not on my tax form. I guess you call it a 1099.
Okay, because you have an account at Citibank.
Yes,
And
and
you
I
made
have had
interest
one
income.
for many years.
And you made interest income on that account.
Yes,
And the federal government was claiming that you didn't claim it on your federal income tax.
correct.
Now, you're a resident of New York. So aside from filing your federal income tax, you also file city and state income taxes?
Yes, in 08, yeah, I was still living, I was living in New York then,
Okay.
yes.
So when the feds tell you that it wasn't on your federal income tax, what do?
I contact Mr. Gantovnik. I sent him the paperwork. He admits that he made a mistake. I, at that point, just asked him for the interest. He said to me, well, we'll take it off your bill next year. I said no, because I knew at that point I was never going to use him again. And I asked him to send me a check, which he did.
For how much?
$101. I have
Which
a
was
copy
the
of the
interest?
check.
101?
Yes.
And that was the interest?
Yes.
Okay. And then, of course, you paid the federal government their federal taxes
Correct.
of your Citibank account.
I also,
All right, but then what did you do about the New York City?
well,
and
I
New York
asked him
State
to
account?
amend my return, and he never did. And once again,
Well, but didn't you notice that he didn't?
you know what? I didn't think about it. I said, please amend the return. I mean, he's my accountant.
I know, but you're already on notice that there was a problem.
Right. I didn't.
So why wouldn't you? And there may be penalty and interest on
Right.
on the state and the city. So why wouldn't you make sure that it got done? At
I
that
don't know. I can't answer
point?
that.
Okay. Maybe you were just hoping the state and the city wouldn't find out.
Well, I don't know. You know what? I
And
was
then,
thinking,
so
I mean,
2
I
years
really-
later, the state finds out.
Yeah, in
Did
this.
the city ever reclaim against you?
Not yet.
Oh, well, let me introduce you to what we do here.
Okay, I'm being honest.
The state catches up with you, and the state says, "Hey,
And
you owe us a chunk of that." And what does the state say? Do you have the document from the state?
Yes.
They see your amendment on your federal return. They wonder why you didn't amend,
Right.
and they charge you the $700 you were supposed to pay from the beginning, right? You were supposed to pay $700
I
in
guess
tax.
so.
All right, why do you roll your eyes? You know that. $773.74. But they also charge you $195.61 in interest
Correct.
and no penalty. So you send this to him and say,
Yeah, now I'm really aggravated because I feel that he just really was very, very negligent from the beginning. And I wrote him a letter, and I never heard back from him.
what did your letter say?
Here's a copy of the letter I sent Mr. Gentovnik.
Please be kind enough to promptly submit a check for all of the money incurred, including the tax bill, which was originally yours.
Well, I felt I deserved something for aggravation because I felt that
Well,
he
you
was
seem to me to be minimally aggravated if you can't even see to it that your state and city returns are amended when you've caught the mistake. It sounds to me like you were hoping that would fly under the radar. What's going on, Mr. Gentovnik?
I've been in practice for 22 years. As far as I'm concerned, I've always been diligent, careful with all my clients. I have a passion for what I do because I used to be a former IRS agent.
How long were you an IRS agent?
A few years.
Why'd you stop?
Unfortunately, you don't get the credit or the feeling of doing something worthwhile. I didn't feel that way when I was an IRS. I felt being on the other side, I could be of more help to people. And my reputation and my integrity to me was the utmost importance doing this because I always felt anybody could prepare a tax return, anybody could do it. But what's the difference with people? To me, the only difference with people is their integrity and their honesty. Henceforth, her boyfriend, I've been doing his taxes for 20 years, ironically.
Is the boyfriend here?
Yes. And
Nobody wants to claim to be the boyfriend? I didn't want to put their hand. Do one of these, go ahead.
Right.
The plaintiff says the defendant royally screwed up her taxes and she wants him to pay. The defendant is genuinely incensed that the plaintiff has called his character and competency into question. Let's listen.
And now because of this person, which I'm trying to control myself here, Your Honor, which I'll say in Spanish, mala entraña, she comes from that. I don't know if you know that.
Why would you have to say such a thing?
Well, because unfortunately when somebody
She's
cuts...
mad at you because she feels like you messed up her taxes.
I understand that, but when somebody cuts at you, at your core being...
What happened? You lost him as a client?
Yes, I lost him.
Of course you're going to lose him as a client because she's buttering his bread, not you.
Of course, absolutely.
You're just another accountant.
That's okay.
I know you feel this really deep bond with your clients, and that's nice, but he feels a deeper bond with her.
That's fine.
Okay.
That's fine. Okay. In 2008, I did prepare her tax return. As far as I'm concerned, I never got the information that she claimed because it was a significant item. Usually $100 or $200 of interest income, it's not significant. But over $6,600 of interest is normally a pertinent item on a tax return.
Well, the problem is that they're both pertinent items, right? Like
Yes.
either one, the IRS will come back.
Yes, either one, yes.
Okay. But according to you, you never got it.
I never got it.
According to you, you gave it to him.
Right.
Do you have any proof of itemization of the items she gave you?
No, Your
Do
Honor.
you have any proof by itemization of the items you gave him?
I have the original papers that he gave me back
Let me see.
with also...
No, stay where you are, ma'am. Hand it to my bailiff.
Yeah, you got that. Trying to take my
And
job?
also, I'd like to say something that, as my tax preparer of many years, and as from the tax preparer I'm using now, one of the things my tax preparer does is look at the income that I made from last year. Where's your Citibank? Where's your Fidelity? Where's your Franklin?
And my
Where's your
accountant
this?
does that. So he always says, "Did you close this account? Did you don't
Exactly.
do that?"
Sometimes
But
I
don't
do.
get so excited because I have a few questions for you too. Okay, because you have like 3 things on that Schedule B. You couldn't figure out that one of them, a big $6,600 item, wasn't on there. You have eyes and you signed it. Go ahead. So sometimes
I do
wouldn't all the
sometimes.
times be a much better practice than
Yes,
sometimes?
Your Honor. Yes, Your Honor. I mean, and at the end of the day, Your Honor, this tax that was due, regardless of whether I got it or not, is still her responsibility.
Yeah, I know that.
Okay.
And she
Your Honor.
knows that.
No, she doesn't, Your Honor.
No, she does. She's fresh. She's trying to get over on you.
No kidding.
Right, that's different than not knowing.
Okay,
it.
Your Honor,
She
thank
knows
you.
it, and I know because when I questioned her about that,
Yes.
she went, Yeah.
Yeah, no,
like,
no
I
kidding.
can't believe she caught me.
Right.
So she knows that.
Okay.
So the real question is this something you did wrong and therefore you should be paying any penalty and interest?
Right.
Because it was your error, or is it not?
Right.
And so really that's where we are.
Okay.
Not about the tax. I agree with you on that.
Okay.
Welcome back to the People's Court. Harvey Levin here. So do you, as an accountant here?
Yes.
Okay. Do you check your accountant's work when you get the stuff back from her?
Not normally. I trust him.
You think it's smart?
No.
Okay. What do you think?
I think you need to check it.
Do you check it?
I do.
You find mistakes?
No, I've never found a mistake yet. I have questions.
You don't know what you're doing, but you still look at it.
No, it does a good job. That's.
What do you think? I'm going to come to you.
Yeah, I found mistakes. I found things that should have been deductions that he didn't include.
So then the question, of course, is, do you keep the account?
Oh, yeah. I mean, he's very reasonable, and he will, he'll make the changes that are necessary.
Fair enough. That's your point. Going inside the courtroom.
Why, when you sent her, by the way, you did send her a $100 check.
Yeah,
Why did you do that?
Because I wanted to get rid of her, Your Honor.
Okay.
And that was my way of finishing with her. I never wanted to deal with her again.
Okay. But
Yes.
why?
Why didn't I amend the tax return?
Yeah, the city and the state. The one
No,
that
if she would have asked me to amend the return like she
So
claimed
what
she
really
did,
is it?
I would have.
She didn't ask you.
No, she didn't, Your
Because she
Honor.
was hoping to fly under the radar.
Correct.
But what obligations do you have ethically if you know that you have signed a return that you have
Yes.
filed on her behalf
Right.
with the city and the state of New
Right.
York? What obligations do you have to amend it, just from your standpoint?
That's a very good question, Your Honor. I've never been asked that question before. As far as my obligation,
I mean, because you sign it saying that it's been prepared accurately to the best of your knowledge, and now it's come to your knowledge that it wasn't accurate.
right. But to my knowledge, it was when I did prepare.
Yeah, but yet now you know it's not.
Right, now I
And
know it's not.
You're an ongoing, you talk about integrity and that's all
Right.
you've got, and you're suing for $1 because of your integrity. But this is a real simple question. Why wouldn't you amend the returns you knew were wrong then? Because that's a matter of integrity, I think.
Okay.
All right, folks. Did you have to pay somebody to redo your New York City and state taxes, or you just like triage? You just handle whoever's complaining at the moment and hope the
Well,
other
I
one
mean, I have a
goes
new
away?
accountant now.
That's not my question.
I have, as I said,
what did I ask?
I did
Okay.
not pay anybody else.
Okay,
No.
that's my question. Because if you have to actually pay somebody to
No.
redo the taxes, I would consider that a
No, I
legitimate
did not.
expense under the circumstances. But I'm not going to order him to return the money that you paid him to do your taxes because he did your taxes. I am not going to order him to pay your taxes because he didn't get the $6,600 you did. I am not going to order her to pay you $1 for defaming your character when, quite frankly, I think that you were in the wrong and not redoing the city and the state taxes that you now had information were done inaccurately.
Okay.
And I am, however, going to order you to pay the interest because she never had any intention of taking a high interest loan from the state of New York and paying $195.61. So that I am ordering you to pay based on the evidence in front of me, which understand that there's a world where you might, as a business decision, and I may buy it, say to somebody, you know what, it's better for me just to pay the $100 even though I don't acknowledge doing anything wrong. And understand that I think that the client also has an obligation to check her returns that she's signing to say, I swear this is true and accurate. My biggest problem comes from the fact that when everybody saw that the Fed said, hey, you guys made a mistake, neither one of you turn around and fix it because you're both hoping to fly under the radar with the state because you're hoping to not have to go through any effort and you're hoping to not have to pay any more, okay? I find that you have to pay your own taxes. I'm not going to order him to return the money, but I find that you're going to pay the interest regardless of the fact that she got to not pay that for 4 years. You're going to pay the interest because she didn't ask to not pay that for 4 years. That's my verdict.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, the defendant's leaving the courtroom first. Come on out here, stand next to me. Tell me what's your feeling on the outcome of this case now and the judge's ruling here.
I think the judge was pretty fair. I don't agree with the fact that she wouldn't fine her for trying to defame my character because I was her accountant for 10 years and she trusted me implicitly for 10 years. And now, all of a sudden, because of this, she decides to take me to court, which I think is
Well, you lost on that.
Okay.
If you had to do this all over again, would you do it differently? Would you amend this tax return on your own when you found out it wasn't quite accurate the first time?
I might, yes, possibly.
All right. Right around the corner this way. All right. Come on in here and tell me what's your feeling here. Are you satisfied with what you get out of this?
I'm somewhat satisfied. I feel that I paid Mr. Gantovnik $400 to complete my returns, and I don't feel that I should have to check every little thing because that's what I paid him for.
You're going to check more closely? It's your
Oh, yes.
responsibility from now on?
Yes, I am.
Good idea. Harvey?
Okay, this is real simple. If an accountant screws up, the accountant is responsible for the penalties, but the taxpayer is still responsible to pay the taxes. That's going to do it for this case. Litigants for the next case on the way into the courtroom right now.